FME World Fair 2021. So we are here, myself, Nandakumar and Awais. We are here to discuss about FME 2021 and about automations which has been introduced over the years in FME and how it has improved in achieving results so through without any failure. So here we will see how we can author workspaces. We'll discuss further about it, how you can utilize this functionality, how different functionalities can be utilized within FME automations, and then how we can configure it in different purposes. So we will look into how these are configured, and how people can, or how users can get the activities done very quickly with the improved speed, and what is improved. I think we will discuss further what is improved in FME 2021. So I have here also Awais, so I will hand it over to him. He will discuss further on how what has improved in FME 2021 with respect to automations and with respect to handling heavy data, which I think most of you have been experiencing in recent times. We used to have smaller data which was used before. You had workbenches which were being controlling all these things. Now we have moved everything to FME server. I hope many of you have moved to FME cloud. So the data has been growing over the years. So when data is more heavy, how you can process it faster. So you need results faster nowadays. You don't tend to wait for the results to come in and then process your data. So I think Awais has more information to share with you on how it has been improved with FME 2021. Hi Awais. So I think you can speak about what's there in 2021.
Thank you, Nanda. Hello, everyone. I will start with by sharing some of the fun facts. You may be aware of FME engines and how you can use to process one job at a time. With the concept of dynamic engines, now you can use, or you can process jobs, multiple jobs at a same time. So this is the concept that is known as the parallel processing. With this concept, you can actually tackle large data sets of any sizes. So you can break down these data sets into smaller jobs and process parallel all this data. So this can help you to tackle the data sets of any size. So today we will be giving you some information regarding the improvements that is done in FME 2021, the parallel processing concept, and real-time visualization or processing of the output. Then we will talk about some little bit about dynamic engines, proactive workflow designs, and automation of the processes. So as we all know that every release of FME is faster than the previous versions. This table you see is a comparison of speed comparison of 2021 compared to the earlier version of 2020.2. So as you can see that it's some of the transformers which are shown in this, you can see how much faster it is compared to to the older versions.
That's a good information, Awais. I think these are some of the transformers which are being used, which are very commonly used by users, and I think many of you can relate how much time it takes to get your data processed with these transformers. So I think this speed improvement, what has been what has been done in FME 2021 is really, really great.
So thank you, Nanda, for adding the valuable information. You know that parallel processing, let's start with the parallel processing. The concept of parallel processing is dividing one job into smaller steps or smaller jobs that different FME engines can process individually, and then later we can combine these output into that one output. So this helps in basically making the process faster, as multiple engines will be working on small data sets.
Yeah, so I think that is also a good addition which has been included in FME server, parallel processing, where I think many of you have been using having single engines or dual engines, and you might have noticed that the engines have been processed one by one, or the jobs have been processed one by one. So by the introduction of this parallel processing, where you can improve or distribute your jobs with different engines, this is really great. So I think we have to do some orchestration. You have to combine. I think automations is really going to help in this one, right, Wes?
Yes, right. And we will show you some examples of the workspaces that will be used to do these automations. The splitter workspace that actually splits the job into many smaller jobs. So if we have a big job that takes a lot of time, we can split that into smaller steps or jobs using this splitter workspace, and each job will be processed individually by each of the engine. So more the engines you have, more faster the complete job will take. Similarly, now once the jobs are being processed, you can get the output real time using the workers workspace. So as you are getting the output from individual splitter workspaces or individual engines, you can actually see the results in your web map or in your output by using the worker workspace. So the combination of the splitter and worker workspace gives you a real-time view of your output. And you can combine these two workspaces in your automation in ArcGIS in FME server to actually give you a real-time output of your results.
That's great. I think automation is something which has I'm not sure if most of you have heard about it, but if you have read about it, it's a really good feature which FME has Safe has introduced in FME server, where what always was actually mentioning about the splitter and the workspace running in parallel. Or running in parallel to get the output done. But automation is much more than that. You could automate more activities or tasks within the FME server, and you get the output from that. So one of the examples what Awais was mentioning was the real-time visualization. So the automation process, where if you have noticed in the previous slide, where the automation process is done, and then the worker and the splitter working in tandem to get the results. So once the result is shown, This is how you will get the results onto the map. If you are on any other API or any other destination source, what you require. So you could see that how one engine works and what is the the difference of how heavy data is being processed. So if you have more data coming in, you could get the engines required, and then you could process your data. So whether it's real time or if you have big data, you could process it very quickly. So now many of you will have questions: how I can get all these engines? Is it possible to should I purchase so many engines from Safe to get all these things up and running, or can something else help us out? So that's where we have the dynamic engines, which has been introduced very recently by Safe, and it has a very similar capability of the standard FME engine. So there is no difference between that. So users or anybody who require an engine, they just have to purchase it, and you can use it as or you could pay it as you use. So it's as you pay, you use it. So whether the engines are idle and you have paid for a longer time, you don't have to worry until the time is up. You can still keep on using. So whatever the number of engines you require, you could purchase it, and then you could further get things up and running. So you don't have to worry about how you could process the data, and you could just go ahead and get the dynamic engines and move ahead. There is no if you have standard engines, if you have multiple engines, you can still make use of it, getting the things done, processing, because it has the power of doing it. But if for those people who don't have it, this is the best way to move forward. So let's jump into some automation process, how we could design an automation process. So usually what happens, to be more proactive, you have to anticipate what's going to happen in the future. So you have to think about, you have to design accordingly what you need to what you can expect if you take up this path. So what automation can always guarantee is the delivery. So FME server, you have a process running, you have a job running, and with the brand new automations which is there in place, you could always guarantee that your job is being processed. So there is no failure that will happen to the job, and it will keep on running. So you could include custom occurrences. So you have your job failing for more than 2 times, and you could notify a user or anybody who has to be notified. There could be an outage, there could be a network problem, and it got resolved in maybe in an hour or maybe in 30 minutes. So you don't have to always wait for it. So you know that earlier, if a job failed, FME always tries to retain the job back, but at a point of network failure, which maybe can be fixed in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and your job is already failed, so your engines couldn't do anything. Automations makes it or guarantees that the job will be repeated again every 15 minutes. So you could configure your attempts to run every 15 minutes, or attempts, you can run multiple attempts to, so it makes sure that the job is continued. So that the delivery of the job is always guaranteed. So there is no, and whenever there is a job which is failed, the job recovery always happens. So you know that the job recovery was is, or it is still a feature of FME server. Now with automations, you can always keep recovering it, and with more parameters attached to it. So that's really a great feature which is there. So you can always be reactive to do something in response to what the problem and what is the problem and when it occurs. So that's something which is really very excellent, and what has been done in the automation. So it's very proactive. So it keeps on, it thinks what the user requires, and it keeps on. So yeah, you can actually build a workspace, through automations within the FME server. So you have the knowledge of FME workbench, so you could add on to that through the FME server workspace with it. So where you have the failure ports, which can trigger different actions. So you have notifications, you through emails, through SMS. So that, or you could make that failure run another workspace, which can notify something else, make an HTTP request, where it will you have a system where which it can be notified. So what has failed, when did it fail, and where it failed. So all these things can be maintained with the notification. So automations, a combination of all these can be considered, and you don't lose your jobs, and everything keeps running. Whatever the size of the data is, whether it's small or heavy, it can be done. And system failure, this is something which always you have to always keep in mind. Your FME server should keep running, so you can always run an health check, which can monitor the FME server health, and keep on notifying you, okay, whether the FME server is running or not, or there is a problem within the FME server. So you could get more resources on this one. I suggest you could go through these resources, and you could get more information and automation, and try to introduce automations within your FME. Those who are using FME server, it is it's an excellent addition, and more improvement has been done on 2021. I suggest you to download FME server today. You could go ahead and download it, and you could make use of the dynamic engines also, so to test it. So if you don't have FME server, please go ahead, download it. You could get 100 hours of FME, dynamic engines, so for free. So you could just go ahead and test all these things, test the power of automations. And so thank you very much.